Welcome to Could It Exist in Real Life, where scary shit could happen to anyone whether you deserve it or not. What's to say about Stephen King that hasn't been said? You either love him or hate him. For me, I love the hell out of his stories. The horror, the drama, and the dark humor ones especially. King has given us a new spin on old legends as well as adding some of his own. From troubled teens with special powers to killer cars that are very jealous when their drivers talk to another person, the four-eyed mild-mannered man from hell hasn't always scared the living daylights out of us. He's a firm believer of one simple strategy: write what you know, which has been imitated a lot through parodies that he himself takes part in. Best of all, he values expression and will let anyone with a camera film a movie based off his short stories for exchange for $1. Speaking of adaptations, he cameos in almost every single one and even had a minor role in The Stand. I often came up with a little conspiracy theory that if he ever showed up in one of his own adaptations, anyone near him would die horribly. Bonus points for anybody stupid enough to tell him off. For this portion of Could It Exist in Real Life, I'm gonna do a defiction tribute to the king of horror stories. Since I've already covered some of the classic monsters, which you can no doubt see in my other analysis, I shall cover elements that King himself are well known for. The first story is Carrie. We all know this story. A socially awkward teenager discovers she has telekinesis, or, in layman's terms, the ability to move objects with her mind. With a combination of peer pressure from an atoning teen and her boyfriend, as well as her Bible-crazy abusive mother, and dozens of teens that pick on her every step of the way, it's a wonder she doesn't explode, right? Well, she kinda did. As a result of a prank to get even with her for getting her in trouble for picking on her to begin with, a vicious cycle, local alpha bitch Chris Hargensen dumps a bucket of pig's blood on Carrie, which jumpstarts the prom night of hell. Nice job, Chris. Hurt the already unstable girl at the height of her happiness. No way she'll get even. There's no way a girl like Carrie can exist, right? Wrong. See, there are two schools of thought in the matter. The first and obvious is whether or not telekinesis is a real thing. While I have no video proof of it, since most of it is word of mouth, I can honestly say that it's real. My mother being the prime example. She was a sweet woman, but what she liked to do for fun was scare people. And one of the things she did to scare me was to close our front door without even touching it. The door was made of thick steel, so it was hard to move sometimes, and using an ordinary string wouldn't do the trick. The other doors and windows were closed, so it wasn't air circulation, and there was no one else standing behind it. And it happened so fast that it would be hard to plan out further ahead. However, like I said before, that's word of mouth. I don't expect you to believe me on that one, so I found a more convincing method. Princeton University has started an organization called PAIR, the Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research. This particular organization studies the effect of the human mind that it has on the physical world, and even made a few discoveries that steer closer to the true spectrum of what's once a debatable psychic phenom. Now, the second and most overlooked part of CARE's existence is the common troubled teen gets even. I won't give any examples for three reasons. One, there are too many examples to choose from. Two, they both are traumatic on both sides of the coin. One being the family of said troubled teen, as well as the family that those he, she, or they got even with, as well as those wrongfully stuck in the crossfire. And three, not all troubled teens go down that road. In fact, many get to work on trying to be better than those that have wronged in the past. In fact, some of the most famous celebs like Christian Bale and internet reviewers like Spoonie have been bullied children and social outcasts. Hell, one of my mom's friends was pined by Sebastian Bach of Skid Row before he got famous. Once again, word of mouth. The second example is Stephen's own Christine. We all know this story too. Another troubled teen purchases an old beat-up 58 Fury. He repairs it, and despite its outer beauty, it's repulsed by the entire town, and for good reason. For the car has a mind of its own, and jealous of anybody, foe, friend, girlfriend, or family member that comes between her and her man. Bullies beat the car to a metal pulp, but that doesn't stop her, and she's out for revenge. Could Christine exist? Much like Carrie, there are schools of thought in the matter, the first being the car aspect. As a car, Christine exists in three varieties. One, through auto collectors that have an affinity with vintage cars. Two, a recurring theme of cars, both vintage and modern, is the bond between car and driver. This goes from affectionately referring to the car as she rather than it, and being the one to personally clean and maintain their dream machine rather than trust a mechanic. And three, the supernatural aspect of the car. There's no way it could exist, right? Wrong. King has on record stated that he based his story off the famous accident that took the life of actor James Dean. His car, nicknamed the Little Bastard, had often been rumored to be cursed, as well as blaming the cause of the death on a more supernatural aspect than the practicality of it. I personally believe that it was because it was given such a bad nickname. Cars have feelings too, you know. The third example is the Dead Zone. This one you might remember from the mimetic, "The ice is gonna break!" If not, here's the short end. Johnny Smith, no, not the one that falls for Pocahontas, gets hit by an 18-wheeler and put in a coma for 5 years. When he awakens, he finds his life is going to hell. His job is gone, his girl is gone, his legs just felt useless. God has been a real sport to him. That is until he finds that he's able to see things that either have happened or will happen. There's no way he could exist too, right? Wrong. King based this particular character off Peter Hurkos, who claimed he had the gift of psychometry, or in layman's terms, the ability to tell the past and future through physical contact of an object or a person. It has been debated that Hurkos was using a method known as cold reading, an old fake psychic trick that is designed to get the volunteer to inadvertently give information about his or herself. According to Enrija Perheric, that is not the case, as Hurkos was tested by Perheric and scored 90% accuracy. On the other hand, someone else said he did both. Who, you may ask? Why, Hurkos himself. He stated that his ability is like a TV screen randomly going on and off. At the times it was off, he relied on cold reading in order to keep people's support of him going. As for my belief, the only way I could find out is to grab a flashlight and a shovel. I'm not even kidding on that one. He died June 1988. Last but not least is it. A group of kids do battle with a shape-shifting monster that uses their fears against them. They kill it, but they make a promise to return should it come back. Now with all it can do, there is no way it could exist, right? Well, it does, but not in the way you think. One of its trademarks, aside being Tim Curry in a clown costume, is that it takes on the shape of whatever you fear, be it ghosts, werewolves, and other monsters. These fears exist because you make them exist. For me, it would either take on the form of a swarm of bees or big dogs to scare me. However, over time, I managed to fear bees less, to the point where I could swat one into submission if they were ever to approach me. However, that does not erase my fear altogether, for it's my fear that drives me to fight back, as are with major fears like heights or death. You face it, and courage takes their power away from it. Hence why the Losers Club was able to beat it, no triple entendre intended. Now, normally this would be the part where I say debate, argue, and let me know what I missed. However, while I still instill that, since this was originally my 25th post in text, like before, I'm going to make this my interactive post. I want you, the listener, to share any other ways King's stories could be defictionalized, be it from your own personal favorites to the ones you heard about, to even the ones you just looked up on the net. I want you to find any scientific or mystical examples of any book of your choice. There is so much King to look into, and so little time. As usual, stay tuned for more.